Sometimes I feel like I have nothing to say, nothing of value to add to the discussion, no thoughts worth sharing. So I go quiet. I listen and I watch. I notice whatever is going on around me instead of adding to the noise, the cacophony, the grab for our attention. When I sat down with my coffee and notebook this morning to start jotting down thoughts to share in this episode, I felt completely blank. Like I had nothing to say that hasn't already been said. I've been feeling stressed this week about dental work, about online meetings, drowning under an overwhelming imposter syndrome regarding my online presence, my professional identity, and other more personal things. Throughout the years, this imposter syndrome has been a frequent, unwelcome guest. It was the reason that I quit working as a photographer, the reason why I self-sabotage when things start going well. There's a tiny little voice in my head that wants so badly to convince me that when things are going well, it's not because I've put in the work, I've built a skill set. It's not that I've done something that deserves the praise I receive. No. This voice wants me to believe that I've just been lucky and that luck is going to run out, and then what? And maybe I have been lucky. At least I feel very lucky and grateful. But I also know that I am putting in so much work behind the scenes to build up something worth sharing. So this time, I'm not going to listen to this little voice, the one that wants me to believe my house of cards is going to come crashing down. I'm going to look a little closer and notice that I'm not building from cards in the first place. When I get stuck in my own head, analyzing everything that might go wrong, I've been working to train myself to shift the focus elsewhere. So today, I wrote a list of things that I'm looking forward to instead of dwelling on things that probably will never happen. So, on my list of things I've been looking forward to is knitting in a park at a public knitting event, chatting on the phone with my sister on her drive to work, cooking dinner outside tonight, and could I maybe squeeze in a visit to Nakano, my favorite stationery shop, before Friday? I've been thinking about anticipation a lot this past weeks. First, with the build-up to the solar eclipse that was well hidden behind the clouds and only noticeable as a brief darkness. Not sure what to do with the disappointment of not actually seeing anything, but also grateful to the fact that at least no one managed to ruin their eyesight by forgetting to buy solar eclipse glasses to view this amazing event. And then with the upcoming trip to Greenland for this event that we've been planning since November last year. Anticipation is a funny thing. It is so good for us, so healthy and so fulfilling to have things to look forward to. They don't all have to be huge things like solar eclipses or travel. Sometimes just having a date with a friend, a visit to a park, something sweet on the weekend, or knowing that I will have time to dive into a new book next week can do just as much for our brains. It isn't really about the source of the anticipation or the result at the end, but the feeling that we get when we are waiting for something good to happen. There is a difference between the positive feelings we experience while something is happening and the feelings we experience while waiting for that same thing to happen. There's a term in positive psychology, anticipatory savoring, and that is a concept that I find beautiful. We don't actually have to wait for the experience to happen in order to experience the well-being associated with it. We can experience that well-being while we are waiting. And how amazing is that? Just thinking about the trip to Greenland, the knitting event tomorrow, the Line magazine that is making its way to me, already allows me to experience the positive effects of that perceived happiness. So this time, I'm going to allow myself to dwell within that space of savoring what's yet to come, like a kid waiting for Christmas or summer vacation. It's not just about having something to look forward to, but noticing that feeling that sparks when imagining all the good things that are coming. The little spark of excitement when I remember that I have a coffee date with a friend later this week. The feeling of knowing that I have a book waiting for me when I come home. Planning what I'm going to knit on my next trip. And knowing that tomorrow I might get another opportunity to enjoy my coffee outside in the sun. None of these things are particularly extraordinary. In fact, they are quite ordinary, but they give ordinary days little sparkles of light. Maybe this is why I'm so interested in glimmers. They ask me to do something very similar, to notice the small everyday pleasures of ordinary life, but in the opposite direction. Anticipatory savoring asks me to look forward to something that hasn't happened yet, to find joy. While glimmers ask me to slow down, look closer, look at the present moment to find that same joy. This might be just what I needed when I sat down with my morning coffee and felt I had nothing to share. I was looking for something important enough to share, when what I really needed to do was just to notice what was already there. The things I'm looking forward to. Those small moments that make ordinary life so good. The glimmers that are easy to miss when I'm too busy looking for something bigger. I'm reminding myself that I don't always need something profound to say. Sometimes it's enough to notice something beautiful and say, look, I noticed this. I'm Santra. I live in Iceland. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so happy that you've decided to join me. On this channel, I share the slow process of building a handmade wardrobe that grows and changes with me. Sometimes that means knitting something new. Sometimes it means sewing, mending, or even unraveling. I used to think that every finished project was exactly that. Finished. Once it was bound off or off of the sewing table, it either became part of my wardrobe or it disappeared into the back of a shelf if it didn't quite work. But over time, I realized that a handmade wardrobe isn't something that's ever completely finished. It's something that I continue to shape and evolve. So if you enjoy knitting, quiet mornings, thoughtful conversations, and finding beauty in ordinary days, I hope you'll feel at home here. Hello. Welcome or welcome back. Thank you for staying through the introduction and on to this podcast part of the episode where I am going to share with you what I'm wearing. I have a finished object, and I will share with you what I'm working on and some knitting plans. It's early morning now. It's only 9 o'clock on Wednesday, August 19th. I was planning on filming yesterday, but that didn't work out. So I'm here on a Wednesday morning. I was really, really determined to get this out before I go to Greenland on Friday. So I was a little bit disappointed in myself for not filming yesterday, but that's okay. I woke up early enough this morning and I've already had my coffee and I've already recorded my introduction. And I'm hoping to be able to record this podcast part of the episode before my sister calls on her way to work. I'm lucky enough that we get to talk every day on her way to and usually from work. There's a 4-hour time difference during the summertime between us and the States. So when she is driving to work in the morning, it's still early enough that that we managed to get about an hour of chatting on her drive. So I am going to try to finish this podcast before she calls me. And then I have some plans to record a bit of a revisiting of my wardrobe later today, so that I will have that ready to share with you while I'm in Greenland. We will see how that works. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that will work out. I figured that it might be nice to do a bit of a recap of what I've made, what I've knit, what I've sewn, what I've mended since starting this channel, since this channel was primarily supposed to be a bit of a diary or an overview of the things that I'm adding or subtracting from my wardrobe. So hopefully you can keep an eye out on that video appearing next week. I'm giving myself a little bit of time to edit this before I dive headfirst into a lot of work. But anyway, I'm happy that you're here. I don't take you for granted, so I'm really grateful that you choose to spend your time watching my podcasts. It's really, I'm always so grateful. So on to what I'm wearing. Today I'm wearing my Milty scarf, of course. This is my Knitting for Olive pure silk Milty scarf. It's light enough that I feel like it's just adding just a tiny bit of, not even warmth, but just I don't know what I should say, because it's not pressure, but it feels like it's holding me a little bit, like a small hug. Um, that might sound really weird, but I enjoy wearing things around my neck because I feel like it just adds a little bit of comfort on my shoulders where I'm stiff. So anyway, I'm wearing my Milty scarf. I am wearing Kusk by Edda Lilja Guðmundsdóttir. I knit this a few years ago from, it's knit with, what is it knit with? It's knit with yarn from Vassnes Yarn. I believe it's pure merino, which is a non-superwash fingering merino, and also a merino and silk base. I don't remember if it's 50-50 or 75-25. So this pattern is knit with a fingering weight yarn and with a lace weight yarn. And the pattern calls for mohair in the lace weight and then fingering yarn. And I decided to I didn't want all the fuzz, because I feel like mohair sometimes just like sticks to my lips and it's in my mouth, and I don't like that. So I knit this, a few years ago. I want to say it's knit on 4mm needles, US 6, but I don't think I wrote that down. I didn't write it down, but I think it's US 6 and 4mm needles. I will put a link to these patterns in the description, like I always do. I always put links to all the patterns in my description. So this is what I'm wearing. I'm also wearing a pair of Cider House socks by Summerlee Designs, also knit from Vassnes Yarn. This is a merino mohair blend that I think is great for socks, and I'm so sad that it's not carried anymore. I should have grabbed the chance while I could and bought more colors of this, but it's such a cozy sock yarn that I really, really like. And then my all-day culottes by Matchy Matchy Sewing Club. These are the ones that I knit. No, I didn't knit them. These are the ones I sewed up from some thrifted duvet covers that I bought with my sister when I was in the States. And we decided to use that to do like a mock-up of the pattern, just to see how it fit and everything before cutting into the really expensive fabric that we bought. But I've been wearing these actually quite a bit, and I'm always a little bit iffy on whether I should have white pants at all, or if I should dye these like I did with my my low bib pinafore. I dyed that brown, and it's It's something that I've got a lot more use out of once I've dyed it. So I keep coming back to whether I should just dye these all-day culottes or if I should keep them white like this. I still haven't decided. So I don't wear them out of the house much, but I do wear them around the house a lot because they're so soft and comfortable. So that is what I'm wearing. And let's move on to what I have a finished object, and I want to show you that. Those of you who have been here a while know that this has been on my needles forever. But as I always say, knitting is a slow craft, and it's meant to be slow. It's not meant to be a race. It's not meant to be something that we do instead of going out and shopping for something. So it's supposed to take time, and I have finished my Veronica tea. And she's gorgeous. I'm so happy with this project. The fit is great. I love the details on the shoulders and the sides. I don't know if you can see it here. The screen is so far away, I can't see what I look like, but it's this beautiful detail that goes all the way down here. Yeah, I love her. And I'm so happy that I finished this before going to Greenland. I will be taking this with me, of course. Yeah, she's perfect. Highly recommend if you are looking for a t-shirt pattern. The pattern actually comes with two variations: a V-neck like this, and also like an O-neck. Yeah, it's simple. The instructions are good. I don't know if you remember last time I was here talking about this tee. I was worried about picking up for the sleeves because I read the instructions and I was like, oh, this sounds complicated. But then it was so simple. It was, I don't know why I was worried about it being complicated. It was really quick to knit the sleeves. I think it only took it took a few hours, but it was really quick. And it was an easy process. It was fun to do it like this. I've never picked up sleeves in this manner. So it was really fun. And then I bound off with a, this bind off was a tutorial on someone's Instagram. I want to say Zanette Knits, but I will put a screenshot. And it's a bind off that you use a crochet hook, and it gives like a beautiful line where the folded edge is. I didn't use this bind off for the body, and I was worried that the body would flare up because before I blocked it, it kept flaring up like this. So I decided to try this other bind off method, and I think it's really beautiful. I love the result, but I did not like the process. It was tedious and it took forever, and I'm so bad at crocheting. Like, I don't know if I've talked about this here before, but my hands cramp up when I'm using a crochet needle. Like, my wrists get really stiff and my hands cramp up, so I can't really crochet, and so maybe that's why I found this so difficult. And I was having problems like keeping the tension nice, but I really like the effect of this, and I think that if the hem of the body starts to like curl up, I might actually undo the bind off there and do this same bind off for that. But here she is, Veronica T. She is knit on 3mm needles, US 2.5, and the collar and the hem and the hem on the sleeves is knit on 2.5mm needles, which I believe is US 2. I'm not 100% sure though, but they're very small. And this is a design by LG Designs, who is Creative Daydreams on Instagram. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful piece. And I am hoping to get a lot of use out of this. I knit this from the bamboo linen yarn from Hex Dye Works that I really like for like tops like this, because I can just throw this in the machine with my linen dresses and my linen trousers and things like that. And yeah, so it's easy to wash, it's easy to wear, and it's nice to knit with. I really enjoy this yarn. I think this is my favorite plant-based yarn. I find that cotton is too stiff for me to knit with usually, so I really like this yarn. Highly recommend. So on to my works in progress. Always the same ones as usual. My year-long blankets is getting so big that it doesn't really fit on the screen. But I finished my August stripe, which I was hoping to do before leaving the country. So I finished that. I'm making good progress. I'm looking forward to starting September when I get back, even though I haven't decided on what color to use. But I'm not worried. I have plenty of yarns to use. So yeah, this project, it's a pattern by Sandra Granqvist. It's knit on 4mm needles, US 6, and I'm just using many different yarns from my collection. The pattern is written for a DK weight, but I'm using fingering held double because I have so many single skeins of fingering yarn that I bought because they're so beautiful. I think that is like my knitting shopping kryptonite. Like if I ever try to go into like I'm not going to buy any yarn, I think this would be my Achilles heel, is hand-dyed fingering weight sock yarn. I find them so beautiful, and the colors are always so like rich. And anyway, that is what I fall for every time. So yeah, don't know what else to say about this project that I haven't said already. I'm really enjoying the process. I knit this with my coffee in the morning, and it just really helps to calm me down. So happy with this project, as always. And my next work in progress is this. Oop, I almost threw it on the ground. But my next knit work in progress is this bubblegum pink knittable sweater that I'm knitting for my granddaughter. I'm not really making much progress on this, and I was hoping that I would already be close to finished, but I'm not. I still have a little bit left on this sleeve. I think I have like 2 centimeters left on this sleeve, and then the ribbing, and then I have the other sleeve left, and then I'm going to be picking up for like a turtleneck collar in a softer, finer yarn, so that it will just keep her neck warm. What should I say about this? It's knit on 3.5mm needles, which is US 4. And the yarn that I'm using is glimmers, which means a glittery sky, by Uppfit, which is an Icelandic dyer. And I'm also holding a thread of Make It Pearlshin, which is a cotton thread with some beads on it, just to make the sweater a little bit stronger, that it doesn't rip as easily, because this glimmer ski is suri alpaca, and of course that's easy to pull apart. So if my 3 almost 4-year-old gets caught on a branch, she will just rip a hole in it. But I'm hoping that this Make It Pearl Shin thread will make it just a tiny bit stronger. So this is my progress on that. Not much to see that you haven't seen already, but I'm not really in a rush with this. She has plenty of other things, and this is not really a sweater to be wearing as like a warm layering piece for preschool. It's more of a nicer weekend sweater maybe for, yeah, just not preschool. The other thing that I am knitting is rappi. You know how excited I've been about casting this on, so it's really, I'm enjoying this knit so much. This is Rappi by Edda Lilja Guðmundsdóttir. It's knit from Finery from Garnbúð Eddu, which is Edda's yarn dyeing business. So this is both her pattern and also her yarn. It's knit on 4mm needles, US 6. And I am really enjoying this. I think it's going to be beautiful. These colors are my colors. This yellow and this brownish black is gorgeous. And I did end up going back to her workshop and picking out my third color. So let's see if I can grab these with one hand. No. So I had these two picked out as color A and color B. And then I had lots of gymnastics looking for a color that would go with it. But I ended up going back to Edda's workshop and picking out this one as my third color. And it's knitting up really nicely. I've just started adding this, so it's not very visible yet. But hopefully next time I will be able to show you what it looks like with all 3 colors. But I think that the yellow and the dark is coming out really, really, really nicely. So I'm excited for this sweater to be added to my wardrobe as well. I don't know if you have this superstition from where you are from or within your knitting community, but the superstition here is that like the length of the like the rest of the cast on string when you finish casting on. So like in this sweater, it's this part here. You see that this is relatively long. That means that this project will take a long time. And judging from that, this sweater will take probably some years, because look at this. The rest of my cast on string is so long. So let's keep tuned and see if there's anything of value in this superstition, because this looks like it's going to take me 3 years to knit, at least judging from my cast on string. Who knows? We will see. So that is what is on my needles. I actually cast on also a new project, and I was knitting on that here in the beginning. It's just very simple preschool socks for my granddaughter. Preschool started last week. And, you know, she always needs warm socks because in Iceland, kids go out to play in preschool no matter what the weather is like. It makes them stronger, it makes them sleep better. So, of course, they need warm clothing. I found this yarn in my collection. I've bought this years ago. I don't know I don't know when. I remember where I bought it. I was with my mom. She bought another ball of this in a different color. But this is Zauberball by Skobel, maybe. I don't know how to speak German, and I don't know, like, I can't wrap my head around how the sounds are supposed to be. But this is Zauberball, Skobel, Zauberball, maybe. I have the tag here. That's why I can read it at least. And I'm just planning on making a pair of socks, a pair of mittens, and maybe a hat from this if I have enough yarn. Or maybe socks and a hat, and mittens will be an afterthought because she hates wearing mittens and they always mysteriously disappear. Sometimes they are rediscovered where they have been planted on the preschool ground, in a flower bed or in a big thing of snow. And she's always so surprised that we find her mittens. So she hates wearing mittens. So that will be, if I still have yarn after I made socks and a hat, I will make mittens. But I think these will be quite cute. They're just very simple, plain socks. I'm knitting these on 3mm US 2.5. I cast on 38 stitches, and it's just going to be a very plain, simple sock. So that is what is on my needles. My finished Veronica. I have told you what I'm wearing. Oh, I am also planning on, maybe before I leave the country on Friday, I'm hoping to at least have done a swatch for my passing light tee. I think I'm probably just going to go with this yellow pure silk because I love the drape of the one that I shared with you last week. But then I really like the color of this, so maybe I will do two. I don't know. But I'm going to swatch, I think, for the one in the pure silk because I like the way the pure silk feels on my skin, even though I didn't really like knitting with it. I think that might be an unpopular opinion, so I'm not going to discuss that too much. But but it is what it is. I'm looking forward to having it in my wardrobe anyway. And sometimes, sometimes I find it's fine to knit something that I don't enjoy knitting if I know that I will enjoy the final piece. Usually I am a process knitter, so we often talk about either being a project knitter or a process knitter, whether you are knitting to enjoy the project at the end once you've bound it off, or knitting to just enjoy the process. And usually I'm quite a process knitter, and usually I have more things on my needles than I do now. But I've been trying to scale down on the number of things that I have on my needles just because I feel like I get decision fatigue when I'm picking what I want to knit. So yeah, I've been trying to have less on my needles than that. Yeah, so that's what's going on. There's no patterns that I'm particularly flirting with other than the things that I already have planned. So the Passing Light tee and then the Come Back Again by Andrea Mowry. Those are the things that I want to knit. Things that I need to knit. Victoria needs some new warm pants to wear under her snowsuit and her rain gear when she's in preschool. The pants that she had from last year are getting too small. She's growing so quickly. I think it's amazing to see like how her legs are growing so much longer that even, these pants that were too big for her when she started last year are too short now. So I need to get some of that on my needles, and probably also just a warm sweater to wear under her rain gear and um, her winter suit. Uh, she has some, she still has some sweaters that fit, so I'm going to make those pants a priority. But I don't think I'm going to cast those on until after I come back next week from Greenland. I feel like I don't think I'm going to put that pressure to be knitting that um, on my travels. I am excited to go and visit. There are two yarn shops that I'm excited to go visit when I'm in Nuuk. One of them is Nani Nuuk, and I've been following them on social media for a really long time. So I'm so excited to get to visit them. I'm making plans to. I go to Greenland on Friday, fly over, and I will be there late in the evening. Um, but I have Saturday and Sunday off before I start working on Monday. And the reason why I'm going to Greenland on Friday is that we only have direct flights to Greenland from Iceland on Mondays and Fridays. And the Monday flight, well, both of the flights land like late in the evening, and the training that I'm facilitating starts on Tuesday morning, and I felt like getting there on Monday evening would just make me really stressed, and yeah, I wouldn't be calm enough to start working early on Tuesday morning if I didn't have time to prepare and get settled in and all of that. So I'm going earlier, and that just means that I pay for my hotel for 2 nights, and instead I get this whole weekend of knitting and visiting yarn shops and maybe reading a book at a cafe looking over the harbor. So I'm quite excited for that. And if I manage to get some footage while I'm there, I will share it with you next time. But I'm not going to make any promises. But I am excited to visit Naninuk, and I'm also excited to visit, I think it's called Kivuit. It's a shop that has some musk ox wool, which is supposed to be the warmest and nicest wool that you can get. It's also quite expensive, but I might get one very small skein to make a milti scarf or something similar. So I'm excited for that. I keep looking out the window because they are starting to pave my street. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that before they start being really noisy outside of my window. So I'm quite excited to share with you what I get up to in Greenland. I'm excited to record a new episode about just revisiting my wardrobe, what I've made, what I've mended, what I've sewed, what I've knit, things like that. So yes, with that, I will leave you, and thank you for being here. Um, Thank you for always showing up and being encouraging, and I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you for making this space what it is. Um, yeah, I appreciate you being here again and again. I will never tire of saying that. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. So with that, I hope you enjoy your week. I hope that the season, if it's changing already, I hope that you're enjoying the change of seasons. If not, I hope you are enjoying the rest of summer or the rest of winter, wherever you are. Um, yeah, changing of seasons is always exciting. It always feels a bit like a new beginning. So I'll see you next time. Bye.